Right, so, here, take them. Okay. Yep, so we're about to actually go ahead and have someone call in and say hi. This is Jessica Sky Merizan. I just gotta wait for Ben to be able to take the controller so I can not be distracted while this is going on. So, Ben, push in the right stick, follow the arrow. Oh, life is hectic. Okay. So, let's get this party started. Let's get it started in here.
You're ridiculous.
Yes I am. There we go, and call. Hey Jessica, how's it going?
Hey there. How are you guys doing?
Doing quite well. Thanks for supporting, my Mass Effect Marathon charity thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We got a few emails going around BioWare when it first happened. Oh no, am I supposed to share my video?
Oh, no, it's up to you. This is just that way people know who's calling in.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm in my PJs and I look terrible, but I'll do video if you guys really want. But
No, there's absolutely no need for that.
no one needs to see that. It's
yes. I'm to go get hygienic in a little bit too, because I've been all sorts of nasty this weekend, just tired. But yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do over at BioWare? You're the community manager, correct? Or
Yep.
a community manager?
Yep. So I'm our lead person in community and social media. Normally, there's not. It's basically just me and Chris Priestley, who is the king of the forums, and I do Facebook and Twitter, and then go to outside places like Reddit and talk to people. But since we're launching Mass Effect 3 in a few days, we've brought on some more people to help us. So you might notice that if you ask something on Twitter, you're much more likely to get a response now, because we've got a lot of other people who are helping us, make this game successful, make sure that people in the community are happy.
Okay, nice. Now, I work with Facebook and Twitter quite a bit myself as well. What would you say is the biggest challenge of trying to herd, the group of fans in social media that revolve around BioWare games? Because you have a very dedicated, very passionate fan base. What's the biggest challenge for you in regards to that?
I think that I have more challenges with the technology than I have with our fans. I mean, I think that it's always kind of an issue when you're representing a company, but, before I worked for BioWare, I was, a super hardcore Mass Effect and Dragon Age fan, so I understand how frustrating it is to be on the other side, and for me to have to be the person who's being told, okay, we can't talk about this for another 3 weeks because of all kinds of legal issues, so just tell them that they'll get more information soon. And for me, I'm like, I know how frustrating that is for everyone, but hopefully people understand that people like me are doing it not because we're evil or hate the fans, but because we have to work with all kinds of constraints and, technology issues like what Facebook is capable of doing, or, how much we have put into our forums and the limitations there, and as well as, what kind of things we've got going on with the cycle of game development. So
you obviously don't work directly with the game, but have you had the opportunity to play it? Do any of the designers or developers call you and be like, hey, just have fun with this. Here's, whatever build we currently have.
Yeah, I mean, I've ever since I started working, I've been with BioWare for about 7 months now, and right from the get-go, as as a kind of expert of the community, I get asked all the time, like, what do you think of this feature? Do you think the community is going to like this? We're thinking about doing this. What do you think? Do you like that as a fan? Does that get you excited? And then, I've had the opportunity to make a few recommendations that came directly from the fans and directly from, myself as a fan. And, those have gotten implemented into the main game. So when I'm playing the game, I'll come across something, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's a spoiler, but I come across something that I'm like, wow, that might not have been in the game if it wasn't for us.
Okay, awesome. Now, so you've been working with BioWare, you said, for 7 months on this. How does one get into the position of a community manager? Like, what skills do they build up? Like, how do you go about applying for this sort of position?
I think my background is actually in anthropology, so that's what I went to school for. But I mean, honestly, I kind of stumbled into it because I love conventions. I love things like cosplay and fan art. So I just started making connections with developers on Twitter and meeting them at conventions and interviewing them for my master's dissertation. And, it just happened to be that a community position opened up around the same time that I was getting to know all these people. And so I was asked to apply for the role. And, I think the big strengths are that you know how to be social, you know how people think about things, even when people themselves don't know exactly how they're thinking about things. And that you just, understand what's going on the internet and what's popular and, how to use up and coming media, because I mean, Facebook and Twitter is popular right now, but we always have to think about, okay, well, this is popular right now, but what's the up and coming things? So it's really just being that kind of person who was on the internet instead of doing their homework, I guess.
So, now what do you think of actually the most recent Facebook update to Pages, where they kind of turned it into a timeline? Because I know that's one of the big surprises. I didn't see that coming on my page. All of a sudden I look and bam, timeline, and now I have to adjust my entire thing around that. Were you surprised by that? Did you actually kind of already know that was coming?
I knew it was coming, and we haven't actually implemented it for our pages yet. I think that it's at the end of March or something like that they're going to force us to change over. So we don't have time to think about it right now since the game launches, but I'd say a week after launch, we are going to start thinking, okay, how do we want to use the timeline? What does this mean for us? What kind of work do we need to put into the page so that it makes sense? And, as you can see, we actually, or well, maybe you don't know, but we just created a second Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Mass Effect, because our previous page was facebook.com/Mass Effect 2. Because Facebook won't let us change Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3 or to Mass Effect. So we're kind of like, well, now we're Mass Effect 3, not Mass Effect 2. So we have to make a whole new page. So, I mean, I guess this is kind of coming at a good time since we're going to have to deal with the timeline anyway. But it is kind of funny when, people use Facebook as a way to escape, procrastinating at their jobs, and I kind of have to think about it as how we're using it, how we're reaching people. And so personally, I use Facebook very little because it frustrates me to no end at my job.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, my job is started off as community manager sort of thing as well, and somehow I ended up doing this for it. I don't even understand. So you mentioned before that you were a big fan of Mass Effect even before you got this position. Did you have the background as a big gamer before joining in with BioWare?
Yeah, I started a company called Crabcat Industries with my best friend Holly Conrad. She's a big fem shep cosplayer. She's made I'd say 3 or 4 suits of armor just to fem shep. And so we started this company to, make costumes and go to conventions and have fun. And we did some panels at like PAX and things like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore, um, I'm like, I'm terrible at PvP combat. I know people aren't supposed to say that, but I'm just not good at it, which is why I really like the way Mass Effect multiplayer works, because instead of being like really like, oh my God, everyone's judging me and I look so stupid and I'm getting killed every 5 seconds, it's much more collaborative and you're working together, and I feel like there's more skill building with it. So I mean, but I've always been a big gamer. My little sister, who's an amazing video gamer, and I was always the kind of like reading a book, like daydreaming under a tree somewhere. She and I used to play video games together all the time. It's kind of like a way for us to bond. So always big like Legend of Zelda fan, Castlevania, like Metroid, and then I got more PC games like Fable and then PC like Baldur's Gate. And yeah, lots of big gaming stuff. Sorry, this is like I'm not sounding very good. I'm so tired.
Oh, trust me. I don't know if you've seen any of the columns I've done before. I've just been sitting there like, I just had a good question, and then I blanked. Right?
No worries.
I had after I just sounded absolutely stupid, and like, let me see if anyone in the chat has anything they'd like to ask you. You know, I always encourage everyone to, ask questions in the chat. Someone wants to know, what about David Silverman? How close do you work with him?
So David's our director of marketing right now, and community is in a weird position because we are a service to the marketing department, and we're also a service to the studio. Marketing uses us a lot for, to promote their trailers and to promote, some of the advertising they've got through our social media channels. But, our big priority is making sure that we are a direct contact between the consumer and the studio so that there's a feedback loop there. So David's kind of the head of the marketing department, and so I work with him pretty closely on a daily basis. He sits in a cube across the room from me and throws darts at me all day, pretty much. It's kind of yeah. We've all got Nerf guns that were issued to us on our first day of work, so EA is kind of a pretty cool place to work in that sense. But yeah, David's a cool guy. He does all our Bioware Pulse and things like that. So, and he's hosting our launch party this Monday night, Tuesday morning.
Okay, so do you work more for EA then, or BioWare?
Well, BioWare's part of EA. They're very closely aligned. Like BioWare is its own label now under EA, so we're kind of just like an endless feedback into one another, because we have Mass Effect, Dragon Age, we have Tor, we have Warhammer, we have Command and Conquer, which is in development. So, we have all of those that we're always talking about every day. But then because I'm not Canadian, I work out of the EA headquarters, just due to like crazy customs and logistical reasons why couldn't move to Canada at this time. But so I visit the BioWare studio quite a lot. I'd say like once a month. I probably will have ended up living there about 4 months out of this year. But I said earlier that I work day to day at EA, and it's kind of like hanging out with your friends, because everyone's really young, and a lot of the people are really laid back, and just we all work really hard and try to do it in a fun way, so that the stress is a creative kind of stress. But going to the studio to BioWare is like coming home for Christmas and visiting your family, and talking to people who just have this kind of crazy connection with you that if they weren't your family, you don't know what you'd do with them. But you guys you're intertwined forever. So it's really hard to separate who I work for because it's a very cool atmosphere depending on where I am.
Nice. Connie wants to know: are you